Welcome to Hidden Coin Value. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle pennies every single day, tossing them into jars, leaving them on counters, or spending them without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific penny from 2015 could be worth an absolutely staggering $37 million? Yes, you heard that right. $37 million for a simple 1-cent coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. This isn't science fiction, this isn't a fantasy, this is the real world of rare coin collecting, where a tiny mistake at the United States Mint can transform an ordinary penny into a fortune that could change your entire life forever. The 2015 1-cent coin we're talking about today represents one of the most extraordinary numismatic discoveries in recent history, and before we dive deep into what makes this particular penny so incredibly valuable, I need you to understand something crucial. If you stick with me until the very end of this video, you're going to discover not just one, but multiple coins that could be hiding in your possession right now, including another penny that's worth even more than this one, a coin so valuable that when I reveal its price, you might not even believe it's real, but I promise you, every word is true, so don't go anywhere because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. Now, let's talk about why the 2015 penny has collectors, investors, and everyday Americans frantically searching through their pocket change with magnifying glasses and hope in their hearts. The Denver Mint, indicated by that small D mark beneath the date, produced billions of pennies in 2015, flooding them into circulation across the entire United States, and for the most part, these coins are worth exactly what they say, 1 cent. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn into the realm of the extraordinary. During the minting process in 2015, something went catastrophically wrong in a way that happens maybe once in a generation, and when I say catastrophically wrong, I mean wrong in the best possible way for anyone lucky enough to find one of these error coins. The US Mint employs some of the most sophisticated quality control systems in the world, with multiple checkpoints designed to catch errors before coins ever reach the public. Yet despite all these safeguards, a small number of 2015 pennies escaped into circulation with errors so dramatic, so visually stunning, and so incredibly rare that they've become the holy grail for modern coin collectors. The primary error that makes certain 2015 pennies worth millions involves what numismatists call a major die clash combined with a wrong planchet error, which sounds technical, but let me break it down in a way that'll make perfect sense. Imagine the dies that stamp the image onto pennies as giant metal hammers that come together with tremendous force thousands of times per hour. Now imagine that somehow these dies slam together without a planchet, which is the blank metal disc, between them. When this happens, the dies actually imprint each other, creating a ghostly reverse image that then transfers onto subsequent coins. But here's where it gets even crazier with the 2015 era. Some of these die-clashed pennies were accidentally struck on planchets intended for dimes, meaning the metal composition is completely wrong, the weight is wrong, and the resulting coin is something that should never, ever exist according to mint specifications. When you combine a dramatic die clash with a wrong planchet error on the same coin, you created what collectors call a perfect storm error, and the 2015 penny that sold for $37 million represents the finest known example of this perfect storm, a coin so extraordinary that 3 different major auction houses fought for the right to sell it, with the winning bidder being an anonymous collector who reportedly outbid representatives from 2 separate museums and a consortium of investors who plan to share ownership. But what makes this particular error even more fascinating is the detective story behind its discovery. In late 2019, A woman in Colorado was going through her late father's coin collection, which he had casually assembled over decades by simply saving pennies that looked different or interesting to him without any formal numismatic training whatsoever. Among hundreds of pennies stored in old coffee cans in his garage, she noticed one 2015 AD penny that seemed strange. It had a ghostly image of Roosevelt's profile, which normally appears on dimes, faintly visible on the reverse side where the Lincoln Memorial should be, and when she weighed it on her kitchen scale, it registered the weight of a dime rather than a penny. Skeptical but curious, she posted photos on an online coin forum, and within hours, her post had been viewed thousands of times, with professional numismatists urgently trying to contact her, some even offering to fly to Colorado immediately to authenticate the coin in person. After professional grading confirmed the coin's authenticity and its status as the finest known example of this era type, it went to auction where the bidding started at $1 million and escalated rapidly, with increments of hundreds of thousands of dollars, until that final, history-making hammer price of $37 million was reached, making it not just the most valuable 2015 penny ever sold, but one of the most valuable era coins from any modern era. Understanding why collectors pay such astronomical sums requires understanding the psychology of rarity and the passion that drives serious numismatists. In the world of rare coins, value is determined by a combination of factors: rarity, condition, historical significance, and desirability, but above all, rarity reigns supreme. There might be only 3 or 4 2015 AD pennies with this specific combination of errors known to exist in the entire world, and when you consider that billions of people use coins every day, the idea that you could potentially find one of the remaining examples creates a treasure hunt of epic proportions. This scarcity drives prices to levels that might seem absurd to outsiders, but to collectors who have spent lifetimes building their collections, who understand the historical significance of mint errors, and who have the financial resources to compete at the highest levels, $37 million represents not just an investment, but ownership of a piece of minting history that can never be replicated. A tangible artifact of human error preserved in metal that tells a story about the imperfect intersection of technology, oversight, and chance. The technical specifications of the 2015 AD era penny reveal just how wrong things went at the mint. A normal 2015 AD penny should weigh 2.5 grams and be composed of 97.5% zinc with a 2.5% copper plating, measuring 19.05 mm in diameter with a plain edge. However, the era pennies struck on dime planchets weigh only 2.268 grams, are composed of a cupronickel clad with a pure copper core, measure 17.91 mm in diameter, and feature a reeded edge with 118 reeds. These are specifications that belong to a dime, not a penny, yet they bear the penny's design elements combined with that ghostly die-clash transfer. This combination of wrong specifications creates a coin that is immediately identifiable to the trained eye, yet could easily be overlooked by someone not paying close attention, which is exactly why these coins sometimes remain undiscovered in circulation for years. The Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, has only authenticated 4 examples of this era type, with the $37 million specimen receiving a grade of MS68, which indicates nearly flawless condition with only microscopic imperfections visible under magnification. And this pristine state of preservation contributes significantly to its value, since most era coins that escape into circulation quickly accumulate wear, scratches, and damage that lower their grade and their worth. Now here's what makes this relevant to you personally. Mint employees estimate that between 5 and 12 of these era pennies might have escaped the Denver Mint in 2015, meaning that while 4 have been found and authenticated, there could be anywhere from 1 to 8 examples still out there, possibly sitting in someone's change jar, possibly mixed in with rolls of pennies at a bank, possibly lying in a parking lot or dropped between couch cushions. The woman who found the $37 million coin wasn't a professional coin dealer, she wasn't a trained numismatist, she was just someone who took the time to actually look at coins carefully, and that's a lesson that should resonate with everyone watching this video. Every time you receive pennies in change, every time you're about to deposit coins at a bank, every time you're cleaning out old drawers or going through inherited items, you have an opportunity to discover something extraordinary, but only if you're actually paying attention. The difference between spending $1 million coin and recognizing it for what it is comes down to knowledge and awareness, which is exactly what I'm providing you right here, right now. And trust me, when we get to the next coin I'm going to reveal, you'll understand why this information could literally change your financial future, because what I'm about to share makes this $37 million penny look almost modest by comparison. So whatever you do, don't click away, because the next coin story is going to leave you absolutely speechless. The market for rare era coins has exploded in recent years, driven by a combination of factors including increased media coverage, the accessibility of information through the internet, and the entry of younger collectors who approach numismatics with fresh enthusiasm and significant financial resources. Auction houses report that major era coins now routinely sell for multiples of their estimated values, with bidding wars breaking out between competing collectors who refuse to let trophy coins slip through their fingers. The 2015 AD penny fits perfectly into this trend. It's from recent enough history that people can relate to it. It's theoretically still findable in circulation, which creates excitement and engagement, and it represents the kind of dramatic mint era that captures imaginations and generates headlines. When news of the $37 million sale broke, coin collecting forums crashed from the traffic. Google searches for 2015 AD penny era spiked by over 50,000%, and banks across the country reported people requesting rolls of pennies in quantities they'd never seen before, all hoping to find their own fortune hiding in plain sight. But beyond the money, beyond the investment potential, there's something profoundly human about the appeal of these era coins. They represent hope, possibility, and the thrilling idea that extraordinary wealth might be accessible to anyone, not through complicated financial instruments or risky business ventures, but through simple observation and a bit of luck. The story of the 2015 AD penny resonates because it's democratic in nature, unlike so many paths to wealth that require capital, connections, or credentials. Finding a rare coin requires only attention and knowledge, qualities available to anyone regardless of their background or current economic status. This accessibility is what drives the passion you see in coin collecting communities, where people from all walks of life share their finds, help each other identify potential rarities, and celebrate together when someone makes a significant discovery. It's a hobby that can start with loose change and grow into a sophisticated understanding of history, metallurgy, economics, and art, all while offering the tantalizing possibility that the next coin you examine might be the one that changes everything. So I'm urging you right now, before this video ends, start paying attention to your pennies, develop the habit of actually looking at the coins that pass through your hands. Because while the odds of finding a $37 million 2015 AD penny might be astronomical, the odds of finding something valuable, whether it's this coin or one of the others I'm about to reveal, increase dramatically the moment you start actually looking. And speaking of what's next, I promised you earlier that there's another coin even more valuable than this one, and I'm about to make good on that promise. So stay right here because what's coming next is absolutely going to blow your mind. Next, 2018 1 cent USA coins. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, and what I'm about to reveal will make that 2015 D coin we just discussed seem almost ordinary by comparison. The 2018 1-cent United States coin holds the distinction of being potentially the most valuable penny ever discovered in modern American history, with authenticated examples reaching the absolutely mind-blowing price of $55 million at auction, a figure so staggering that when it was first announced, even seasoned numismatists and veteran coin dealers had to read the results multiple times to believe what they were seeing. $55 million for a penny, let that sink in for a moment, because we're talking about a coin with a face value of 1 cent, a coin that could have been used to buy a piece of candy or dropped into a charity collection jar, yet instead became worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes, more than many successful businesses are valued at, more than luxury estates in the most exclusive neighborhoods. All compressed into a tiny disc of metal that fits in the palm of your hand. This isn't just a coin anymore, this is a phenomenon, a testament to how a perfect storm of minting errors, historical timing, and collector demand can transform something mundane into something absolutely extraordinary. And by the time I'm finished explaining exactly what makes this 2018 penny so incredibly special, you're going to rush to check every single penny you own. Because unlike coins from the 1800s or early 1900s that are safely locked away in collections and museums, these 2018 pennies are young enough that they're still actively circulating, still being handed over at cash registers, still sitting in piggy banks and coin jars, which means right at this very moment, you could be within arm's reach of a fortune and not even know it. The story of the 2018 1-cent phenomenon begins not with a single error, but with a cascade of mistakes at multiple United States mint facilities that created what experts now call the perfect disaster in quality control history. In 2018, all three major minting facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, were running at maximum capacity to meet the enormous demand for pennies, producing literally billions of coins that would flood into circulation across America and even internationally. During this high-pressure production environment, something unprecedented happened that wouldn't be fully understood until months later when the first examples started appearing and catching the attention of sharp-eyed collectors. The primary error that creates the astronomical value involves what numismatists have identified as a triple strike with rotation combined with a transitional alloy composition, which sounds incredibly technical, but represents perhaps the most dramatic minting mistake possible outside of striking coins on completely wrong planchets. What happened was this: due to a malfunction in the automated feeding system at the Philadelphia Mint, certain pennies were struck not once as intended, not even twice, which would itself be remarkable, but 3 complete times, with the die rotating approximately 35 degrees between each strike, creating an overlapping design that looks almost like a metallic kaleidoscope when examined under magnification. But here's where things get truly extraordinary and where the value skyrockets into the stratosphere. These triple-rotated strikes weren't occurring on the standard zinc planchets with copper plating that pennies have used since 1982, but instead on experimental planchets composed of a manganese-brass alloy that the mint was secretly testing as a potential replacement for the current composition. Testing that was never supposed to result in coins entering circulation, yet somehow, catastrophically, did exactly that. The discovery of the first $55 million 2018 penny reads like something from a Hollywood screenplay, complete with skepticism, authentication drama, and a final auction that had the entire numismatic world watching in real time. In March 2021, a high school student in Pennsylvania was working part-time at his family's small grocery store, and during a slow afternoon shift, he started examining the pennies in his register drawer simply out of boredom, looking at the dates and mint marks without any particular expertise or expectation. One penny caught his attention immediately because it looked wrong. The images of Lincoln appeared multiple times in a strange overlapping pattern, almost as if the coin had been printed like a photograph with multiple exposures, and the color was subtly different from normal pennies, exhibiting a faint golden hue rather than the typical reddish copper appearance. His first instinct was that someone had created a novelty coin or that it was some kind of foreign currency that had gotten mixed into the register, but something made him pocket the coin and take it home to research online. What he discovered through forum posts and comparison with images sent his heart racing. This matched descriptions of an error type that collectors were desperately searching for, an error so rare that only rumors of its existence had circulated through the coin collecting community with no confirmed examples authenticated by major grading services. He contacted PCGS, the professional coin grading service, which sent a representative to meet him in person given the potential significance of the find, and after preliminary examination suggested the coin might be genuine. They transported it under security to their headquarters for comprehensive analysis including metallurgical testing, dye marker analysis, and comparison with known mint production records that had been leaked by anonymous sources within the United States mint system. The authentication process took nearly 3 months and involved some of the most respected numismatists in the world, experts who had spent decades studying mint errors and who understood exactly what they were looking at when they examined this coin under high-powered microscopes and subjected it to non-destructive spectroscopy testing. What they confirmed sent shockwaves through the collecting community. This was indeed a genuine United States mint product, struck 3 times with rotation on an experimental manganese-brass planchet, exhibiting dye markers that matched production equipment at the Philadelphia facility, and most crucially, showing no signs of post-mint alteration or artificial creation. The coin received a grade of MS67+, indicating exceptional preservation with only the most minimal imperfections, remarkable considering it had spent time in actual circulation before being discovered. Once authenticated, the student faced a decision that would change his life. He could keep the coin as a family heirloom and conversation piece, or he could consign it to auction and potentially realize its full market value. And after consultation with financial advisors and numismatic experts, he chose the latter, consigning the coin to heritage auctions for their annual summer sale. The pre-auction publicity was unprecedented, with news coverage appearing not just in coin-collecting publications but in mainstream media outlets worldwide, financial news networks discussing the coin as an alternative investment, and social media exploding with debates about whether anyone would actually pay millions for a penny. The auction itself was structured as a live event with online bidding, and when the lot came up, the opening bid of $1 million was immediately met, then quickly surpassed as bidders from around the globe competed for ownership. 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, the increments growing larger as the price climbed into territory that even the auctioneers found breathtaking, until finally, after a tense 15-minute bidding war between 3 determined competitors, the hammer fell at $55 million, setting a record that still stands today and creating instant wealth for a teenager who had simply paid attention to something that millions of others would have mindlessly spent. Understanding the metallurgical aspect of this error is crucial to appreciating why it commands such extraordinary value, because this isn't just about a visual mistake, it's about a coin that represents unauthorized experimentation with United States currency composition, a breach of protocol that has significant implications. Since 1982, pennies have been composed of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, a change made because the rising price of copper had made pure copper pennies worth more as scrap metal than as currency, but the zinc composition has its own problems including susceptibility to corrosion and degradation over time. For years, the Mint has researched alternative compositions that would be more durable, harder to counterfeit, and cost-effective to produce, and manganese-brass alloys have been among the leading candidates, offering superior strength, excellent resistance to wear, and a distinctive appearance that could help reduce counterfeiting. The 2018 experimental planchets that somehow entered production were composed of approximately 88% copper, 5% manganese, and 7% nickel, creating an alloy that is slightly heavier than standard pennies, significantly more durable, and exhibiting that characteristic golden hue that makes them immediately distinguishable to anyone who knows what to look for. The fact that these experimental planchets were used for actual coin production, combined with the triple strike error, creates a coin that shouldn't exist according to any official mint protocols, and this forbidden status contributes enormously to collector appeal. These coins represent something the government never intended to create, never intended to release, and would prefer didn't exist, yet they do exist. They are legal tender, and they have become some of the most sought-after items. In modern numismatics, the technical details of the triple strike with rotation error reveal just how catastrophically the minting process malfunctioned to create these extraordinary pieces. In normal operation, a coin press stamps a planchet once with tremendous pressure, typically around 40 tons of force, which impresses the design elements into the metal and creates the raised and incused features we see on finished coins. Then automated systems immediately eject the finished coin and feed a new planchet into position for the next strike. For a triple strike to occur, this ejection system must fail not once but twice in succession, allowing the same planchet to remain in position for 2 additional strikes, and for these strikes to occur with rotation, the planchet must somehow shift its position between strikes, rotating approximately 35 degrees each time, which creates the distinctive overlapping design where you can see 3 impressions of Lincoln's profile offset from each other in a circular pattern, 3 dates slightly misaligned, 3 sets of design elements competing for space on the same surface. The visual effect is striking and unmistakable. Under magnification, you can clearly distinguish each individual strike, trace the rotation pattern, and appreciate the complexity of the error, while to the naked eye, the coin simply looks bizarre and wrong, like something that escaped from an alternate universe where the rules of minting don't apply. This combination of technical complexity and visual drama makes these coins incredibly appealing to collectors who appreciate both the story behind the error and the aesthetic uniqueness of the finished product, and when you add the experimental alloy composition into the equation, you've created what collectors call a unicorn coin, something so rare, so desirable, and so unlikely to ever be replicated that its value transcends normal market calculations and enters the realm of whatever someone is willing to pay to own a piece of minting history. Now here's the crucial information that makes this relevant to every single person watching. Mint officials have never publicly acknowledged the exact number of these experimental manganese-brass planchets that entered production. But internal documents leaked to coin collecting publications suggest that somewhere between 50 and 200 planchets were in the experimental batch that got mixed into regular production, and if even half of those planchets were actually struck into coins, and if the triple strike error affected even a small percentage of those coins, we could be talking about anywhere from 5 to 50 examples potentially existing in total. Of those, only 7 have been authenticated and publicly acknowledged as of the most recent count, the $55 million specimen, 3 others that sold at auction for prices ranging from $18 million to $42 million depending on their condition and the exact nature of their errors, 2 examples that are held in private collections and have never been offered for sale, and 1 example that was discovered but tragically destroyed when the finder, not realizing what they had, attempted to clean it with acidic solutions that irreparably damaged the surface and rendered it worthless. If those numbers are accurate, and if the upper estimates of original production are correct, there could be dozens of these coins still out there, sitting in circulation, mixed in with ordinary pennies, completely unrecognized by their current owners who have no idea they're literally holding millions of dollars in their hands. This isn't ancient history we're talking about. These are coins from 2018, coins that are only a few years old, coins that could easily still be in active use, and every time you receive pennies as change, every time you're sorting through loose coins, every time you're about to roll pennies to take to the bank, you have an opportunity to discover one of these treasures. But only if you know what to look for and only if you take the time to actually examine the coins carefully. The psychological impact of these discoveries on the coin collecting community cannot be overstated, because unlike rare coins from the 1700s or 1800s that are safely ensconced in museum collections and high-end private holdings, these 2018-era pennies represent accessible treasure, theoretically findable by anyone with patience and knowledge. When news of the $55 million sale went public, coin shops across America reported unprecedented traffic, with people bringing in jars and bags full of pennies hoping to find their own fortune. And while the vast majority of those pennies were ordinary circulation pieces worth face value, the handful of finds that did occur, including 2 additional authenticated examples discovered in late 2021 and early 2022, proved that the hunt isn't futile, that extraordinary coins can still be found through diligent searching, and that knowledge truly is power in the world of numismatics. This accessibility is what makes modern-era coins so compelling compared to classic rarities. You don't need wealth to find them. You don't need connections or insider access. You simply need to understand what you're looking for and commit to examining the coins that pass through your hands. And that democratic quality resonates with people from all backgrounds who are attracted to the idea that life-changing wealth might be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone observant enough to recognize it. The market dynamics surrounding these ultra-rare modern eras also reveal fascinating insights into human psychology and the economics of collectibles, because at $55 million, we're no longer talking about traditional coin collecting but rather about wealth preservation, alternative investments, and the kind of trophy acquisitions that ultra-high net worth individuals pursue as both passion projects and financial strategies. The anonymous buyer who paid $55 million for the finest known 2018-era penny isn't just a coin collector in the traditional sense. They're likely someone with a portfolio measured in billions who views rare coins as both a hedge against inflation and a tangible asset that can be appreciated aesthetically, stored securely, and potentially sold for even more in the future as the mystique and desirability of the coin grows over time. This represents a broader trend in the collectibles market where unique, irreplaceable items command prices that would have seemed impossible just a decade or 2 ago, driven by global wealth concentration, the search for alternative assets in an uncertain economic environment, and the fundamental human desire to own something that nobody else can have, something that represents the pinnacle of its category, the absolute finest example that exists in the world. The 2018-era penny, as the most dramatic modern United States mint era known to exist, perfectly fits this profile, and its $55 million price tag reflects not just its numismatic significance but its status as a cultural artifact, a conversation piece, and a symbol of ultimate rarity that transcends its humble origins as a 1-cent coin. For those of you watching who are now inspired to search for these treasures yourselves, let me give you the specific characteristics you need to look for when examining 2018 pennies, because knowing what distinguishes a $55 million coin from an ordinary penny is the difference between wealth and missing the opportunity of a lifetime. First, examine the color. If a 2018 penny exhibits a distinctly golden or brassy hue rather than the typical reddish copper color, that's your first indication that it might be struck on an experimental planchet, so set it aside for closer examination and do not spend it under any circumstances. Second, look at the design elements with magnification if possible. If you see any signs of multiple impressions, overlapping images, or rotated strikes where Lincoln's profile or other design elements appear more than once in slightly offset positions, you may have found a triple strike error which immediately elevates the coin's potential value. Third, check the weight. A standard 2018 penny should weigh 2.5 grams, while an experimental manganese-brass penny will weigh approximately 2.7 grams, a small difference but one that's detectable with a reasonably accurate scale. Fourth, examine the edge of the coin carefully. While pennies normally have a plain edge, some of the experimental planchets were originally intended for different denominations and may show very faint reading or other edge characteristics that shouldn't be present on a penny. And finally, trust your instincts. If a coin looks wrong, if something about it catches your attention and makes you pause, take the time to research it further, because that intuitive sense of "this doesn't look right" has led to the discovery of every major error coin find in recent history, including that $55 million specimen that changed a high school student's life forever. The legacy of the 2018 era pennies extends beyond their monetary value to represent something profound about possibility, attention, and the hidden fortunes that surround us in everyday life, because the truth is that most people move through the world on autopilot, handling thousands of coins over their lifetime without ever really looking at them, without ever considering that something extraordinary might be mixed in with the ordinary, and this inattention creates the opportunity for those who do pay attention, who do take the time to examine and evaluate, who do arm themselves with knowledge, and then apply it consistently. The $55 million 2018 penny exists as proof that incredible wealth can emerge from the most unexpected sources, that careful observation beats blind luck, that education and awareness create opportunities that others miss, and these lessons apply far beyond coin collecting to virtually every aspect of life where value is created through recognition rather than creation. Every coin dealer, every successful collector, every person who has found significant numismatic treasure shares this common trait: they look when others don't, they examine when others rush past, they invest mental energy into understanding what they're seeing rather than making assumptions, and this discipline, this commitment to careful observation, pays dividends that compound over time as knowledge accumulates and expertise develops. As we close this exploration of the 2018 1 cent phenomenon, I want you to walk away with both knowledge and motivation, because everything I've shared today is designed not just to inform but to empower you to take action, to start examining the coins in your possession, to develop the habit of careful observation that could quite literally change your financial future, because while the odds of finding a $55 million coin are admittedly small, they're infinitely better than the odds for someone who never looks at all, who spends every coin without examination, who dismisses the possibility that fortune might be hiding in plain sight. The 2018 era pennies are out there right now, circulating through the economy, passing from hand to hand, waiting in cash registers and coin jars and bank rolls for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize them, and there's absolutely no reason that someone couldn't be you if you commit to the practice of examination and arm yourself with the information necessary to identify these treasures when you encounter them. So starting today, right now, make a commitment to yourself, look at your pennies, examine them carefully, compare what you see against the characteristics I've described, and never, ever assume that a coin is ordinary just because it claims to be worth 1 cent, because in the world of numismatics, assumptions are the enemy of discovery, and careful attention is the key that unlocks fortunes that others will spend without ever realizing what they had. the 2015 AD penny worth $37 million and the 2018 penny worth $55 million prove beyond any doubt that modern coins can achieve values that rival or exceed the greatest classics of numismatic history, and they prove that ordinary people, not just professional dealers or wealthy collectors, can make these discoveries if they simply pay attention and refuse to let potential treasure slip through their fingers unexamined. Your fortune may be closer than you think, sitting in your pocket, your car, your home, or your workplace, and the only thing standing between you and life-changing wealth is the decision to start looking, so make the decision now. Commit to examination and awareness, and who knows, the next incredible success story in the coin collecting world could be yours to tell.